Hey everybody, welcome to American Idol Unaired. I'm your host Bennett Shear. Today we have a top 26 edition of the show because we have got Elise Kristine. So tell me how this American Idol journey started. That might have been the first time on the show that we have heard that whistle note. Like you really just brought something unique to the show. How did this journey start for you?
Yeah, it was crazy. First of all, thank you. I started kind of doing like TikToks and Instagram Reels and like kind of singing on the internet a few years ago, and then I was actually scouted to audition for
Mm.
the show. This wonderful lady named Ariel, she was like, "Hey, you want to audition for American Idol?" And I was like, "Heck to the yes!" And so that's kind of how it started. I auditioned, and then one thing led to another, and it became a bigger thing that I could have ever thought that it would become. So I was like, oh dang, okay. So it's all thanks to the wonderful Ariel who, reached out to me and helped me kind of get through the beginning stages of the audition process.
Shout out Ariel. And I love that enthusiasm
Yeah.
because you just said without a doubt, like, heck yeah. I mean, had you ever thought about auditioning before, like you were reached out to in the past?
I'd never been reached out to in the past. I'd very much like thought about auditioning for shows like this, and I had auditioned for The Voice and for America's Got Talent a few years prior when I was like a lot younger, but nothing really happened with that. And as I look back on it now, I'm kind of grateful that nothing really happened because I was still kind of like learning about myself and developing my voice and developing who I am. And of course that's still happening, but like I would not have been ready for that kind of thing at that age. So I'm really glad that American Idol happened for me when it did. And I'm glad that it was American Idol of all the shows. Like I'm really glad that it was that one.
And it goes by quickly at this point. We're in June. I mean, you probably were already like, I'm guessing, thinking about doing the show or reached out to. I'm guessing, been at least a year or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because the show, like I auditioned in for the judges, like in the judge room in September of 2022. So this whole process was stretched out for months and months. So that's what makes kind of the end of the show or when you get eliminated or whenever you leave so hard is because you've developed these relationships with these people over months. So you're like deeply connected to them and you really love them and you get to know them and like it's just such a special thing and then all of a sudden it's done and it's like everyone kind of goes their own separate way and does their own thing. Like of course we're still in contact and still doing things together and like some of the contestants that got eliminated before like top 12, we had a concert in Nashville a while ago, was so fun, but it's definitely, you definitely like build up really strong relationships and then all of a sudden it's just like done and you're like, wait, stop. So it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the loser circle for a minute because I watched the stream. I wish I could have been there in person, but it was an incredible show.
Thank you.
Let's break it down. So shout out to PJ who we had on the podcast who
Gosh.
his idea, right? He set up the whole thing.
Yes. He literally like just like out of the blue one day reached out to all of us and was like, hey, I want to put this concert on in Nashville at this place and totally got us in on it. And he was like working round the clock. Like I cannot actually say how impressed I am and how like amazing he is because he put the whole show together. He got the band folks. He got the live stream and the people to help with that. Like he was reaching out to everybody, talking to everybody, putting this together. And then he also performed. So he's like backstage working and like while like going on and performing in like a few minutes too. So he was like crazy and he was putting together like these elaborate like Google sheets of like the schedule and the set list and like all the like he was a beast.
Oh my
Like we
gosh.
all need him to run our life is what we keep saying because it was insane.
PJ stands for producing and jamming and arranging and entertaining.
Yep. Yeah. I think he learned a lot from like Idol and kind of the way that they ran it. And he just
Yes.
like soaked up all that information and all of that like knowledge and just totally implemented it into, the next step that we all took. And it was amazing. So yeah.
Well, and I was surprised because when I interviewed him, he mentioned that he had a show in Nashville coming up, but he didn't say anything about the fact that he was the one that had the idea in the first place. Just goes to show how humble he is, right?
I'll do it for him. I'll tell y'all how incredible and how much work he put in because he won't. So I
Yes.
will. So no, he was insane. Yeah.
So what was that like to reunite with everyone? Because at that point you had probably not seen your Idol family in over a month since you went home, and here you are in Nashville. It must have been a blast.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I loved it. I always love putting on a show, but it's like I put on a show with like insanely talented people. I'm like sitting there flabbergasted, like surrounded by all this talent, and I'm like a part of that talent. I get to sing with these people on a stage, and like I'm involved in this group. So it was just like the biggest honor. And like there were moments where I was like, I can't believe I'm here right now. This is crazy. So yeah, no, I love them all.
Your dad was the MC. That must have been fun to share the stage with him.
It was super fun. I kind of like I love to take credit that I got him the job because PJ had been talking about wanting an MC, and my dad kind of as a joke was like, "Oh, I'd love to do it. That'd be so fun. I've MC'd before." And I was like, Are you serious? Are you legit? Because I will talk to him. Like I will tell him." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay." And so I talked to him, and then here we are, and he got the job, and he was kind of like, "Oh, dang." He was like, I was kind of like half joking, half not. And I was like, "Well, you got the job, so there you go."
So from the Loser Circle MC to the American Idol MC, any memories of Ryan Seacrest and getting to meet him?
He's a really sweet and chipper guy, actually. Like he just walks in and he's like shoulders back, head up. He's like really confident. He greets everybody. He says he's really sweet, actually. And he's very like professional. So yeah.
And what about some judge memories? Because you got to obviously perform for quite a few rounds and you were aired on the show. So what do you remember about Lionel, Luke, and Katie?
Oh golly, it feels like it was so long ago, and yet it like wasn't, but was. It's crazy. Like it doesn't feel real that I'm singing in front of them. Like it's just crazy. And like was 18 when I started the show, and I turned 19 on the show. It's just crazy how like every month or so I was just like singing in front of them. Like little me was singing in front of these legends who have been in this industry for years and years and years, and who have done amazing things and met amazing people and worked with amazing people and all the things. So, and it was crazy for them to like enjoy listening to me and enjoy what I had to give. It was crazy. And they're really sweet. They're really sweet. They're really funny. They're really funny. Like in real life, they're pretty hilarious. So yeah, they're really, I love them. I'm just honored that I got to sing for them. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Well, little old you, but big old voice. I mean, who inspired you to start singing? How? I want to know that story. Because seriously, I mean, I was watching a clip of your Songhouse video, and I'm thinking, watch out, Ariana Grande.
No, I love Ariana. I love Ariana.
There's room for both, but I mean.
Yeah, no, I grew up, like I have vivid memories of me like listening to like Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey and Celine Dion like in the car or on our little like CD DVD player in our old house when I was really young. And always loving it, and I would belt out these ballads and all those things. So definitely those, like I call them the three divas, Whitney, Mariah, and Celine. So they definitely kind of paved the way for my own journey and my own path, and like my sound as well. I'm very much like more of like a ballad singer. And so I've always loved listening to those like big diva ballads and things like that, and like big songs with really dramatic. I'm really extra and dramatic, so I want my music to be extra and dramatic too. You got to match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of, I guess, teachers, if you will, because some of the people that we don't really get to know, whether you're talking about Fredly or Chris Pooley, the band and vocal coaches, you probably had a chance to learn from a lot of people that worked with you on your performances.
Oh yes. I was with two vocal coaches named Justin and Antonio, and I literally adore them. They are amazing. They're literally amazing. Like what they've done in their careers is amazing. What they did for me is amazing. Like throughout the whole process, it's like you go into vocal coach, but it's not just a vocal coach. Like you're not just singing. They're like helping you, and they're talking to you, and they're helping you sort through your feelings about, how you're feeling on the show. Cause there can be a lot of pressure and confusion and stress with, whether that be like hate comments that you're getting, or you don't know what song to sing, or you're worried about going home, or or you just don't know and you're uncertain. There's a lot of, it's a very much like a mental game being on the show and an emotional game. And it's taxing on both those things. So you go into vocal coach and they totally understand and they're just like there for you. And I remember like going in one time being really overwhelmed, really stressed, and just like really kind of low. And I just remember going in there and I just like started bawling because I was just feeling all the feels. And I'm not one to really cry in front of people. I don't really love it. And so for me to like feel safe in that environment to just like bawl, and then I talked to them and they helped me through it. So it was like, it was more than just, let's help you get your song and let's, help you this, that, and the other thing. It was like, let's help you with everything and let's talk to you and let's be there for you and let's da 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 da. And I could go on and on about them because they're just amazing. And then they listen to you. Like if you're like, oh, I don't like that in the song, or I don't want to do that, they're like, okay, cool. Let's change some things, or let's fiddle around with it. So you totally have like a say and a voice. You're not being forced to do anything at all. And they're just there to help you, to be there for you, and to help you sound and look and feel your best. And that's what's so amazing about it. And I loved it.
Going off of those vulnerable moments, were there any points in the competition that were particularly challenging for you? Or were there any times where maybe it just kind of got to be a lot?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely remember kind of two instances. I remember Hollywood Week was very difficult because you're just surrounded by so much and everything's happening so fast. And you don't even like know really what you're doing. And you're just kind of like, okay, I'm here, we'll do our thing, and like, you're just trying your best. And especially I remember the duet rounds, obviously you're exhausted and you're stressed and you don't know if you're going home or not. So there's that emotional kind of moment. And so I remember crying really hard, like before I went on stage for the duet rounds and being just like really overwhelmed. And my partner, Matt, who's amazing, and some other boys who were going on before us, they kind of all tried to like help me calm down, and we said a prayer, and it was like really just like an amazing moment for them to kind of like see that I was struggling, and then they kind of just came in and helped me. So that was one instance that I really remember. And then I remember actually the round that I got eliminated, I was really overwhelmed with song choice, and I really wanted to stay. I really wanted to stay in the competition, and I really just at least wanted to sing my song. I was going to sing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, and I dreamed about singing that song on a stage like that for millions of people since I was a kid. And I was feeling really confident about it, and I was feeling really good and really excited. Like, I loved my outfit. I thought I looked great. I was super excited to just like finally sing this song, because I felt like the song that I was singing was finally me. Like, it was finally something that I really felt good about and that I wanted to. And I was so excited to do it. And I just remember like really having a hard time days prior, because I was really like, I was trying to be confident and like, I'm going to stay and I'm going to do this and it's going to be great. But a part of me was like, but what if you don't? Like, what if you go home? You might go home. You might not get to sing this song. And so it was really hard for me to go home, because a part of me was like, I don't even care if I go home after. I just want to sing this one song. I just want to sing this one song, and then I can go home and I can do whatever, but let me sing this one song. But then I didn't get to sing it. And it was really heartbreaking for me. And like, I'm over it now. I'm chilling. But in the moment, it was really hard for me, because I was really excited to finally like show that part of me. Because I feel like Idol was kind of I was kind of learning my sound and who I was through all the processes and every round. I didn't feel like I was really like myself and singing what I really, really wanted to sing, and like confident singing, because I was so kind of insecure and not knowing if I was good enough before. So I kind of played things safe and kind of did, not my best in my opinion, And so I was so excited to come back and be like, oh my word, this is like, I feel more like myself, and I feel more like I'm ready and I'm more confident, and and I just felt so much better. And then I was pulled away from it, and I was like, what? But I think like at the end of the day, what I really needed out of the experience was for me to come out of it being confident and being sure of myself. So I got what I needed, but I just didn't get to sing this song. But like, you know, God gave me what I needed out of that experience, and I came out of it who he wanted and needed me to come out of it as. So
Did you feel changed after American Idol?
yeah, 100%. It definitely changes you. And I think it was really something I needed in like this time in my life. Like, it's such an emotional and mental like game, but it's also like you learn so much mentally and emotionally over the span is just like thrown at you. Like, you just soak it all in. So I definitely came out of it being a completely different person. I feel like I like from audition to when I was eliminated, I was a completely different person. And I even still feel like a different person from when I got eliminated to now. Like, it's, you still like grow through it, and it continues to like change you and develop you. And I feel like I've kind of come into myself and I learned more about myself. I'm more confident. I'm more kind of understanding of like how that industry works, how I work, how I want to be perceived, who I am. The whole experience really teaches you about yourself and about your artistry and about your sound. And of course, that's still going to continue, and you're still going to learn about that throughout your life. But it definitely kind of slaps you in the face with that a little bit. But it's a really good thing, and I'm really grateful for all that it taught me, really, is what I'm most grateful for.
What was it like to go from just kind of singing and going about your day? I know you probably had some experience just from doing TikTok and stuff, but to all of a sudden be on a singing show on ABC and to have all these views on YouTube and then to have the following grow, what was that like?
It was crazy. It felt so surreal. Like, it felt like, you know, when you watch things on TV and you're like, oh, that's not real. I don't know what the frick that is, but like, I don't know. And then you like see those kinds of people in real life, or you work with those kinds of people, or you're in that environment and you're like, this kind of stuff actually happens. And this is actually a real thing that goes on. What? So it's just like, it's very surreal. And it almost feels like a dream, because it's like you go do this amazing thing on this amazing stage in front of these amazing people. And then you go home and you eat dinner and you go to bed and you wake up the next day and it's like, wait. It's
Back
just
to reality.
it's really weird. Like, the flop is really odd, and it feels like you're in a dream for a little bit, or a movie, and you're just kind of acting in the movie, and then you go back to reality, and it's really kind of like this odd flop.
But here's the thing. It actually happened. It wasn't just a dream that you're waking up from. The impact is still there. People still recognize you. You go out and, you know, you're part of that legacy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, no, it's wild. And when you get recognized too, it's like, it like to see even like little girls, like there have been like little girls who come up to me and they're just like in awe, and they're like, oh, hi. I'm like, hi. And it's crazy to me that like to them, like I'm someone that they can look up to, and I'm someone that's just like done this amazing thing, and like, and like, it's interesting because sometimes I don't feel like that. I don't feel like, oh, I just did this amazing thing, or I just like because in me it's like I'm being critical and I'm overthinking, and you know, as you do. But then you see these people who watch and they're just like in awe and they're impressed and they're proud and they're just like, this is so cool. And like seeing kind of that kind of response kind of helps me be like, oh my word, like I did do something cool. This is really cool, and I'm really glad that people enjoy it. And like, I do want to be someone that these little girls can look up to and that other people can look up to, and like all this stuff. So it's a very interesting kind of thing, but you know, yeah. Amen.
You put all that work in, and you look up to those singers that you described, the three divas, right? And then you're already on your way to people looking up to you, and just imagine them in their cars and you have your song on the radio and they're singing along and they want to be like you. Can you imagine that?
I can, but I can't. Like I can imagine it in my head, and I can manifest it in my head and believe it in my head. But like when it's real, it will feel so surreal and unreal and like crazy. But yeah. it's wild to think that that could happen. That could be my story. So
I think you can do everything. I think you can do pop. I think you can do Broadway and Disney. I mean, I don't know if you've started thinking about that stuff, but you've got so many different things up your sleeve, I bet, right?
yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I'm kind of in the stage of my life where I'm kind of figuring out what to do, where to go, what I want to be, and I think like it's really important for me and other people who are just kind of like figuring out what they want to do to like, because I often get ahead of myself and I'm like, oh, I have to go achieve all of this stuff right now. Like it has to all happen right now. But in reality, I'm very young. I have my whole life, and like, you know, I just need to go and do and be happy and keep up the hustle and be consistent. But, you know, just kind of like be at peace with where you are now while striving for better and for more and for all of that kind of thing. But like, you got to be at peace with where you are now and what you're doing now and who you are now, you know? So I think that's really important, and something that like, even I've learned since getting off the show is like, I got to be at peace with what's going on right now to get anywhere.
Any highlights as you look back on the performances? Did you have any favorites out of all of them?
Absolutely I did. My favorite one, I don't care what nobody says, my favorite one was Showstopper.
You slayed that.
My black top. Funny about that black top, that top is a dress. That is a dress that I got, and I was like, this is really cute, but it was too short and it was riding up a lot, and I was like, I can't flash everybody. I've been not big good. And so I was like, okay, but I really like how this looks up top. So I like folded it inside of itself and then put jeans on, and no one would ever know. That's a fun story. No one knows this until now. So you're welcome. But yeah, no, I definitely felt super confident going into Showstoppers and super secure and like just really excited because I hadn't shown my like whistle off yet, and I hadn't like done like my big belty things that I can do. And so I was like, hey, now's the time. We're going to show them and we're going to surprise them. And it's going to be so fun. So I was really excited for that one. Yeah.
If Mariah Carey were still a judge on the show, she'd be a little afraid. She'd have to walk out of the theater.
Molly, no, my word. I would faint if Mariah Carey ever like heard me sing and liked it. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I love her. I love her so much. I was literally listening to her a few minutes ago. So I love her.
What song?
I think it was Circles.
I'll have to check that one out. Do you have like a favorite of all time?
I can't choose.
Yeah. Why am I asking you that?
I don't know why people ask me that. They're
like,
what's your favorite song? Like, there's millions of songs.
Yeah.
Like, not millions of artists. Well, a lot of artists. And it's like, I can't, because it's so dependent on mood.
Right? Like, oh, that's true.
You have to be in the mood for it. And it can be your favorite song or one of your favorite songs, a song you really like. But if I'm not in the mood for it, then it's not my favorite. Like, it's all dependent on mood.
Good point. Good point. Well, speaking of Showstoppers, I mean, you were one of the pairs when you got to the Green Mile. So I'm sure there's a lot of mind games with being called in with someone else because they're like, are they going to pick them? Are they going to pick me? And they picked both of you.
I know. It's just crazy. Olivia and I actually were like freaking out before we went in because we were like, are they going to have to sing against each other? Are we going to have to like do, because like, you don't know. And then all of a sudden you're there waiting to go in. And that's like when you, like, I didn't know that I was going to be going in with her until I was like a few minutes from going in with her. And I was like, girl. And we were both freaking out. And like, I remember her telling me that she, like, her voice was kind of tired and she kind of had lost her voice a little bit because of all of the singing and practicing and rehearsing that we had to do during that whole week. And so she was really nervous and just like scared to, you know, to go in. As was I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't, you know, and it's hard too, because if you go in and sing against someone, you're competing against them. You're trying to be essentially better at them so the judges will choose you. And that's really hard because you develop these relationships with these people and you want them to do well, but you want to do well yourself. But you kind of feel like the bad guy a little bit. I feel like if you had to sing against each other, because it's like, oh, I'm trying to be better than you so that I can, you know, and then it's like you win, but they're left in the dust. And it's like, it's hard to be happy for yourself, but at the same time, like, it's just kind of a hard game. At least that's what I would think that it would be. So I'm glad that both of us got through and both of us kind of got that opportunity to go on. So yeah. And she's
And then
amazing. She's fantastic. So
she is. And
yeah.
then you're off to Hawaii. That must have been fun, right? And you're
So
competing, but you're also partying, having a little vacation.
literally, and I had never been to Hawaii before, ever.
Mm.
So I was like, oh my God, it was so pretty. I was like, I got off the plane and like walked outside and the air was like smelled so sweet. And it was just so like pretty, like at the airport,
Mm.
outside of the airport. It was like gorgeous already. And I was like, I need to have a house here one day. I need to have a resident here, an estate, if you will, because it was so pretty and it smelled so nice and I loved it. So yeah.
Hey, we should just add these things to the manifesting list. I mean, meeting Mariah Carey, getting the house in Hawaii. This
Yes.
is all gonna happen, you know.
Manifest it. Singing on big stages, selling out tours. Let's manifest it all. Let's just go.
Yes. Let's put it right out there. Only thing I think I didn't cover as far as performances from you, I believe, if I'm correct, that they didn't air your performance challenge
They
because I was
did not.
looking.
They did not. I sang When I Fall in Love by Nat King Cole. Actually, I sang it at the Loser Circle.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. I did. I sang because they give you like a minute and a half. So I sang my minute and a half that I did on the show as my little moment. I was like, we need to show people what I did that never aired. Yay. So,
Well, obviously it went well because you went on another round, another. Any memories though about being on that stage and waiting to find out if you would make it to duets?
yeah, definitely. I think that's the most emotional moment there because that's your first time on the stage, like your first time on that first Idol stage. First time really like performing in front of the judges. Like before, it's like you kind of had your audition, but it's like, it's a little different. And so it's like, and it's just you. So you're like, okay. And then there's all these amazing, talented people sitting there watching you. So it's very intimidating at first because you're watching everyone else sing and you're like, oh my word, that was good. And that was good. And they're good. And holy crap. Like everyone is just amazing. And you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And then it's your turn and you sing in front of them and it's just crazy. And then what's crazy is that they have you wait. So you know how they bring you out in lines and they're like, step forward, step back. Blah, 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 blah. So I remember I sang and then, I went off stage and they had me wait for like an hour and a half until I finally went back on stage with my line and my group to see if I went through. The most emotional moment ever. Like I personally was like just super up in my head because I had just seen all these amazing talented people go and I was like, I am nothing compared to this. Like that was going through my head. I was like, what the frick am I doing here? And then I sing and then I'm just waiting. Like I literally just sat and waited for like an hour and a half. And your brain is just going off. Like, was it good enough? Will they like it? Like everything you could possibly think of, every negative and positive thought you could possibly think is just like going off. And then you finally get in your line and they make it so intense. Like there's so many pauses and like dramatic breaks. And then they're like, step forward. You're like, okay. And then they like pause before telling you. And it's like very emotional. And like that first yes is such a win. And I remember like getting done and they had us go sit off to the side for a minute. And I just remember like bawling like really quickly. Like it was a really quick bawl. Like I just like tears and then they were done. But it was like so because it was like all of that adrenaline and excitement and fear and anxiety and all the things just kind of like came out. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that first yes was definitely like it's a moment.
Anything you just want to kind of tease or things that you've been working on since filming Idol?
Things are at a work in progress right now. There's a figuring out curve that happens as everyone has in their life where you're like, what the frick am I going to do? Let's figure it out. So that's kind of the place that I'm at in my life right now. I definitely have goals and aspirations and ambitions and passions and all the things that I want to do. But dreams don't come true overnight. They're a work in progress and they're definitely something you have to like keep at. So I'm definitely kind of in the figuring out zone in my life. And don't worry, I will keep everyone posted on all of the things that happen with me. So You won't miss a thing.
Speaking of posts, where do people need to follow on social media?
So Elise and then Kristine with a K. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok.
Just to close out, any piece of advice for singers thinking of auditioning for American Idol next season?
I've thought about this one because there's so many things that I could say. So many things that I could help with. Know that your path is your path. Your voice is your voice. Your personality is your personality. Your style is your style. It's going to change. It's going to develop, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that where you are now isn't also great and isn't also doing well. And trusting that things are going to change. Things are going to come. You have to be patient. You have to trust the process. You have to trust yourself a lot as well. You have to be really in tune and understanding that like you're going to be fine. At least for me, I feel like I mentally get really up in arms about what's going on. And I'm like, oh, this isn't happening or that's happening or da, 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 da. And sometimes just having someone tell me like, you're going to be fine and it's going to be fine and you're doing great is all I need to like calm down and refocus and recenter myself. And so I would just tell people like where you are now is great and it's fine and you're doing well and you're only going to go up from here. You're only going to get better, do better, progress more, and just be at peace with where you are now and understanding that you're enough and you're doing great and you're going to do great things and you're going to be fine.
What I love about that is that not only does it apply to singers, it applies to every single one of us.
Exactly. And all of us learn this together. We're all just trying to figure out life. So
yeah,
it's great.
We are. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you're following us on Instagram and TikTok at Unaired Podcast. If you haven't already subscribed on YouTube or wherever you are listening, please do so. Leave us a review and 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you might be listening. Elise, thank you so much for being a top 26 edition of American Idol Unaired.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, y'all.